All right, okay, so now that I had my meat stick, we can get on with the day. Thunder. And Mini Cooper. Check driving it. And there's so many cars and stuff like that that are like chick cars, right? Like a Mini Cooper, don't get me wrong. I seen one of those guys, not, you know, well, I seen a video. The guy had a little sleeper, and it was a little Mini Cooper or Cooper Mini. And he was racing Lamborghinis with it. It was hilarious. You know, like, it's like he basically, I don't know what, it was like 1,000 and some odd horsepower. It was just like, with those tiny little wheels, like, how do you not burn those wheels completely off the, even low profile wheels? Meant for that, right? Yeah, I know. Shh. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but they would be a fun little car for like areas like this, because there's so many like twisty roads around here. I think it'd be a good poor man's sports car, you know what I mean? Kind of like a Honda Civic, but I think the Honda Civic is better. Like my buddy Paul's Honda Civic, I think he paid like $1,300 for that. Now he's put probably about $2,000 of repairs in it in the past 10 years, but that car owes him nothing. And it, I think that thing's an 07 or something like that. And it's standard, and it's so fun. Like every time I borrow, except for the last time during that snowstorm, and he was out of windshield washer fluid. That wasn't fun. But other than that, that car is like really fun. It's just super fun, right? So yeah, we'll get back to the So as I was saying in the previous video with the oil thing and stuff like that, and the, you know, the what you call it, the Laramie engine being a Tarzan engine, so to speak. Like, that's a weird looking truck. That is the weirdest looking truck I've ever seen. As weird as a truck can get, that is like, it's like weird. See, that Ram's a little bit newer than mine, almost the same color scheme. You don't see this color scheme too often. Anyway, yeah, so like I was saying, yeah, the Tarzan engine of it. So the good news is, like, these engines are actually quite easy to work on. Like, you know, when things aren't rusted all over the place. Yeah, you can work on these engines really easy. The only thing that might be easier to work on than this is around the same generation or the same years that these were made. This is a Gen 3 Ram. I don't know what Silverado it would be. But the Silverado Sierra engines around, say, like 2000 or 99 to like 2009, those things, they're also really high mileage engines, and those are probably the easiest to work on out of all trucks in all the time, that, you know, pre-carburetor. You know, like, they were just easy. Everything was easy access to it. The Dodge is not bad. The Ford is a nightmare. The Ford, in case their freaking engines in kryptonite, plastic everywhere. Excuse me, that's rude. Plastic everywhere. That's the only thing I hate about my Fords, is that when you want to work on one thing, there's about an hour and a half of removing stuff out of the way to work on the thing you want to work on. Where this, it's not as bad. You know, most things are, the engine bay, it's not adequate size engine bay like it used to be, but oh, he's gone. He's gone. I don't know where he went. My buddy Paul there. So, like, a Tarzan engine is really what you want, right? So when you repair it, it's like the Cummins diesel. Oh, they suck. The Cummins diesels are awesome. They run forever. You can fix them with like paper clips and shoestrings. Maybe not the new stuff, but the older stuff, right? And same like this, you know. You've seen some of my fixes so far on this vehicle, right? You can do that to a degree on just about every vehicle at certain areas, but when it comes to the engine, that's where you know, like, it makes or breaks the complexity of fixing, right? Now, yeah, I can't get my EGR valve on because the bolts are rusted. Not that I can't really get at it. It's because the bolts are rusted. That would be any vehicle. Wouldn't matter the brand when you're dealing with rusty bolts, right? And other than that, like, oh yeah, but you got to change 16 plugs in this thing. It's not really, if you can get at the plugs, it doesn't matter if there's 2 there or 1 there. You know, it'll take you double the time, but you're like, the only plugs that are hard to get to are the four in the back, the last two cylinders, like cylinder, I don't know if that's 1 and that's 8, or if that's, you know, 1 and that's 2. I don't, or 1 and that's 3, or I can't remember what the firing order is for this thing. I do believe that's number 1 there. So I think number 1 and number 8 or whatever, number 1 and number 5 or whatever it is. Or number 1 and number 4, whatever, you know, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever they do. But yeah, so the oil, any vehicle you have, even a cheap vehicle, if you are going to change your oil like once a year and you're in Canada, change it in, say, November, December, just before the winter. It'll make your vehicle start so easy. When I changed Brutus's oil, I changed it just before the winter, and that made a huge difference on him starting. I don't think I never plugged him in. I don't think he had I don't think his plug worked, and he started every time. You know, that's one thing about the Dodges. I always found they started good in the winter. You know, like my mom's road rage van there, as I called it. Well, what do we got coming up here? That thing, minus 36, not started for about a week. Go out, a little V6 there, the 3.3 V6. That thing was crazy. It would just start because it had to. You know, it hated you for it. Like, you could just hear the metal on metal for the first 5 minutes, right? Like, there's not oil in there, there's molasses because it's so cold. And it would just start. This thing started no problem, but we didn't, well, the coldest I started this, I didn't go out, ooh, there's a skunk. Ooh, ooh, I'll shut that off. What is it, get this over, get on my side of the road. Cool car. Mustang. But the thing is that it starts really well. You know, it does that Dodge like spin up and then start thing. I remember all the Dodges in the 70s when I was a little kid. Just, you know, they don't do that as much anymore, but it was a distinctive characteristic as a Dodge. A lot of people said it was a bad starting, but it's not. It's just the way they started. Like they started fine. It was just they made a, you know, like it sounded like an airplane spooling up its turbine to take off. You know, it was an interesting. The 70s were interesting for cars. Like, there was no car that just started. Everything just like roared to life because of the carburetors, right? Carbureted engines versus fuel injection. Now, obviously, like any new technology, it's never embraced. And that's going to bring us on to a really cool topic for the next video, which is going to be the SRT-10. Yes, the Ram of Ram. Well, it wasn't a Ram, it was an SRT-10. The Viper Dodge Ram, which wasn't a Ram and wasn't a Viper. But everybody refers to the Viper-powered truck, which still holds the world speed record to this day, 156 miles an hour for a stock truck. Not a modified truck, stock. Followed by the Ford Lightning of about the same generation, which was like 3 miles or 4 miles per hour slower, which was still ridiculously fast for a truck. So when you're talking a truck, like the death curve is 90 miles an hour. Like, you really don't want any truck going faster unless it's a low profile truck. And even at that, you really don't want them going any faster than 90 miles per hour. 85, you're already cheating death to stay upright. You know what I mean? And we'll get to that. But yeah, the oil is the engine's life, right? So when you have a lot of mechanically moving parts, the pushrod engine, the reason why most trucks are still pushrod engines and not overhead cams is the Europeans, their overhead cams, the Japanese, their overhead cam on everything. But when you get to the powerhouse engines, whether it be Chev, whether it be Ford, whether it be Dodge, the most power is usually made by a pushrod engine, not a high revving overhead cam engine. Now, mind you, technology has come a long way. I'm sure that's changed, but of this era, say, you know, pre-2008, the pushrod engine is king for a truck engine. So you don't get extremely high revs, you get low revs. Like, I mean, this thing, I don't think this thing can redline at like 5,000. You know, it says 7. I don't think a push rod engine, without having a piston or a push rod coming through the top of the hood, I really don't think this thing would rev out that hard, nor am I going to try it, right? But if it did, holy geez. So Mac torque on these things would be like, you know, like on a overhead cam be like, say, 5,600. On these, it might be about 2,000 to 3,000. You get your torque earlier, right? Which is what you want in a truck. You don't need your torque at highway speed. You need it on the takeoff and on the acceleration, right? So that's why the push rod engine, although more complex and more difficult to build than an overhead cam, that's why they're still more popular. But let's talk about the truck of trucks in the next video.